Hi, this is Jeremy Moskowitz, Group Policy MVP and founder of PolicyPak Software, and in this video we're going to show you how to get PolicyPak on-premise up and quick-started in just a couple minutes. So let's make sure you've got all the requirements you need. We're going to walk before we run, and so that application is WinZip. We're going to ask that you download WinZip 14. I know you probably don't care about WinZip 14, but that's the walk before you run example. Then you're welcome to try lots of other things: Flash, Firefox, Chrome, Java, Adobe, whatever. Any of that stuff is fine. But for this quick start, please, 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 we ask that you download and install old and crusty WinZip 14. We show you how to do that in the manual. I've already done that here, and it's ready to go. I also want to point out what you get in your download and where you'll have to install stuff. The first and most important piece is the PolicyPak client-side extension. The client-side extension is a little moving part that has to be installed on everywhere you want to do PolicyPak magic. All PolicyPak components magic is contained inside the one client-side extension. So in this particular case, I'm on a Win 7 32 machine. We'll work with anything Windows 7 and later, and we've got an installer for x86 and also for x64. Okay, so this is just a regular old MSI, just like you've installed a million times. If you want to get the PolicyPak client-side extension mass deployed out there instead of hand installing it, we have videos on how to do that. You can use whatever tool you already use to get software installed. So if you already have SCCM, great. You want to use group policy, great. You want to use a tool like SpecOps deploy or PDQ deploy, great. For me, right this minute, I'm just hand installing it because that is how I like to do it in the quick start. And that's it. Notice how there's no reboot required. It's just as simple as that. PolicyPak is ready to use that fast. Now, you might be a customer of PolicyPak, or you might be trialing. There are two ways to trial. If we go to the computer properties here, you'll notice my computer has the computer name Win7 Computer 32. Now, if you have a license, you should have gotten a video on how to install that license. We're going to assume that you've done that already here. But if you haven't, you can still get PolicyPak's features all up and running, provided you've got the word computer in the name. So this is optional. If you don't have a license, or trial license or a real license, you can just change the word, the computer name, to have the word computer in the name. Then it'll act as if it's fully licensed. Okay, so provided you've done that, you're good to go. And let's go ahead and go over to our group policy management station. So this is where you create group policy from. PolicyPak is not, quote, installed on domain controllers. I just happen to be using a domain controller as my management station. So this next step I'm about to do, which here in the download is called the Admin Console MSI for all on-premise products, you're going to install the Admin Console wherever you have the GPMC. So if that's on your Windows 7 machine, if that's on your Windows 8 machine, if that's on your Windows 10 machine, if that's on your domain controller, wherever you create group policy from, that is what this step does, the PolicyPak Admin Console step that I just buzzed right through. What did that do for us? What that does for us is that anytime we create a GPO, and I'll call this PolicyPak for WinZip, okay, as soon as we create a group policy object here and right-click and click Edit, this is going to give us the PolicyPak node, okay? So without the PolicyPak Admin Console installed, where the GPMC is installed, you won't get the ability to create and do stuff in a GPO with regards to PolicyPak. So if we were to go to the user side, PolicyPak Application Manager here, and go to New Application, you'll see it says None, because there are no packs ready to go out of the box. You have to download them in the portal and then go ahead and put them in the right place. Well, where are the right places? There's what's called a local store, there's a share-based store, and I'm going to show you what most people do, which is the central store. The idea behind the central store is the same thing as how it works in Microsoft land, which is on a domain controller in the Windows sysvol folder, under sysvol again, under the domain name, under policies where all the GPOs live. The idea is that here, this is where all the GPOs live. You might have a folder called Policy Definitions, and that's for Microsoft's definitions. But we're going to have our own PolicyPak definitions, okay? And inside the PolicyPak folder that we just created, we're going to take our pre-configured packs, the things we care about, and for instance, just for this warm-up here, we're going to find WinZip, okay? WinZip 14 to 17, because again, our warm-up application is WinZip 14, even if you don't care about that in real life, okay? So then you'll notice that inside the packs folder, you'll see that a DLL, that's really the pack. That's what you're going to copy into the central store. Boom, just like that. There's a README file, and then there's the source, the XML file that you can use with the PolicyPak Design Studio to open it up and manipulate it and see what's going on and how we made this pack. So you can copy in the things that are interesting for you. For instance, if you want to do things like Mozilla Firefox, you would find Mozilla Firefox 23 and later and find the DLL and copy that in. If you wanted to do Oracle Java, find the version of Java for you, like 8U25, and copy in the DLL and so on. Okay, we're just doing WinZip for this because Firefox and Java, while very powerful, are slightly different and are not included in this warm-up. Okay, so here's the PolicyPak for WinZip GPO we created earlier that is linked to our East Sales users. Again, for our warm-up, we want to hit users. Okay, so on the user side, user configuration, PolicyPak now. If we go to Application Manager, okay, which is one of the 4 components of PolicyPak Suite, if you go to New Application, hey, look at that. Instead of none, you now have the packs that you put in there. So if I pick the WinZip pack, you'll see that it tells me that it's in the central store. Double click it, and now I have the opportunity to manipulate the settings. For instance, if I click on these 4 password items here, set the password length to 11. I can also right-click, hide a setting here, okay? For instance, if I want to hide one of these settings, if I want to disable another setting, I can do that too. And if I want to disable, for instance, the entire tab, the whole camera's tab, I can do that as well, okay? The other 2 pieces that I want to sort of quickly demonstrate is this idea that you can revert settings when the pack no longer applies. So you'll see minimum password length will tell you, if you right-click over it, that it will revert this policy setting to 8 when it's no longer applied. I wanted to talk about that. And I also want to show you how you can perform ACL lockdown by taking ownership of either the registry that's involved or the file that's involved for any particular application. So I'm going to set that setting as well. So if I click OK here, now I've locked and loaded my directive. Just to put a fine point on it, I've got a GPO. It's linked over to my East Sales users. On the target machine, I'm logged on as an East Sales user. I've got the PolicyPak client-side extension installed, and I've got the target application installed already. So now if I run GP update, that's all I need to do. Notice how I didn't have to reboot the machine. I'm just going to use Group Policy's natural ability. I can either just log on and get it that way, or run GP update, and I'll get the same settings just like that. So let's take a look at our results. So if I take a look at WinZip here, and go to Options Config, go over to Passwords, boom. You can see that PolicyPak has delivered the right settings, and you can see we've manipulated the UI just like we said we would by removing UI and graying out UI, and also we can gray out particular tabs as well. Remember, PolicyPak has a bunch of superpowers. One of them is that if a user tries to be naughty and tries to work around your IT configuration changes, at the next time the application is launched, boom, those are put back in. I also showed you that if you set up PolicyPak ACL lockdown, so if I go to HE current user software Nico Mac computing WinZip policies here, you can see PolicyPak has taken ownership of this portion of the registry. So a standard user now cannot work around and be naughty and try to do things that are outside the scope of your IT directives. Okay? The very last thing I want to show you is reverting settings when they no longer apply. The only thing we specified to revert back was minimum password length was going to go back from 11 to 8. So if we were to go back to this group policy object, unlink enable it or disable it, so therefore it no longer applies to our East Sales users. If we then just run GP update, okay, and then go ahead and run WinZip here, what we're going to see is Boom. It reverted that one setting back because we said when the policy no longer applies to specify to have that setting revert back. If you wanted the others to revert back, you could do that as well. Notice how all the characteristics are now freely available for the user to manipulate, and the UI configurations that the user had removed are now unrestricted. Okay, and that is it. That's the PolicyPak Quick Start warm-up. If you want to try things out like Firefox, Flash, Java, or other applications, we have videos for that, and you should definitely watch those. But please walk before you run. Get WinZip to work exactly like you saw here, and then you can stretch your wings a little bit and do other things, including, don't forget, all the other components. So for instance, if you're looking inside the group policy object editor, you're going to love Admin Templates Manager, and we have a quick start video for the Admin Templates Manager as well. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll sign off. I hope this was very helpful, and if you need help, we have the forums and also support at PolicyPak.com. Thanks so very much, and welcome to PolicyPak.